As Tokyo Game Show is officially behind us, Monster Hunter 6 has yet to officially been revealed. The next mainline game for this lauded franchise still eludes us, so we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer for that official reveal. However, that doesn't necessarily mean we didn't get a couple of teases making their way through the 20th anniversary reveal kind of like trailer that they put out, but also the fact that they now provided us with a brand new website which has a little bit of a developer information and set of updates, which should give us a little bit of a guideline as to what it is that we should be expecting heading forward into not just later 2023, but also heading into 2024, which will be part of course, this 20th anniversary celebration event. So in this video, I want to try to go over all of that, as well as some of the speculatory thoughts that I've seen a lot of people post regarding what could potentially end up happening, as Capcom is suggesting something major, but they're just not ready to reveal it just yet. If you watched my previous video where I spoke about basically my quick reactions to the actual Capcom digital presentation event of Tokyo Game Show, you would notice that I actually got to quickly overlay some of the information that they shared on the website. I'm going to be leaving a link in the description below for that website if you haven't necessarily checked it out, which is essentially part of the 20th anniversary Monster Hunter series page, which they shared. And in their actual post, which I did not get to read in the video because I actually posted those images overlaid in the video that I already had just finished rendering. In the actual wording of their post, there are a couple of hints that I do want to kind of tackle. First, they mention that counting down to the Monster Hunter 20th anniversary, dear intrepid hunters, the Monster Hunter series will celebrate its 20th anniversary in March of 2024. We on the Monster Hunter team would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of our players. We have only just been able to reach this significant milestone thanks to your support. In the first installment in 2004, players would wield 5 different weapons and set out on 2 settlements, Kokoto and Midgard. Since then, the long journey has passed us 2 decades, has sent hunters traversing in snowy mountains, the deep sea floor, ancient ruins, and undiscovered continents. We are absolutely overwhelmed with the love and enthusiasm you have poured into the series over the years. Your valuable feedback and contributions have consistently aided us by adding user-tailored updates and developing even better gaming experiences with each title. Monster Hunter World managed to resonate with people all over the world, even though the pandemic prevented us from meeting with many of you directly. You have sent us many warm messages online. We cannot thank all of you enough for what you have given to the series. With the 20 years successfully behind us, we hope to ride this momentum and bring you bigger and better and even more exciting hunting experience that will thrill and surprise you. We invite you, dear hunters, to join us in our journey ahead. Happy hunting. My biggest takeaway here is the fact that the only game that they talk about, other than of course the first one, is Monster Hunter World. Actually, and of course we all know this, the last mainline game was Rise and Sunbreak, but they don't mention it. They talk about World, which the reason why they talk about World I think is very important, because World is the biggest version of the game that they have had, popularity wise and sales wise. World, yes, outsold Rise and Sunbreak together. World and Iceborne together both outsold Rise and Sunbreak, and that's kind of like because they just basically did something that they hadn't done before. They went bigger on all home consoles. There was no longer a portable gaming experience, and unlike Rise and Sunbreak staggered release through consoles and PC, they just did something extremely different, also visually as well. They tried to cater to that audience. So I do think that they are hinting at something here, specifically when it comes to just the mentioning of World and understanding. And we should recognize that they are understanding that World is the biggest name recognition version of the game, of the franchise, that they have already. Now, a lot of people have also taken it to mean that because they talk about the 2004 release of Monster Hunter 1, that they are actually hinting at a remake of the first game. This is also suggested by the fact that people are taking that original animation, which you have already been seeing in this video kind of like loop in the background. the first original hunter with the origin armor. That armor set, actually a lot of people in social media were wondering, oh, clearly they're teasing a brand new hunter with a brand new armor. No, that actual armor set is the origin armor. That's been around in many games. Different versions of it already exist. It might even be in Rise and Sunbreak. I can't quite remember. I believe it might actually be. So that's the original hunting armor from the very first game, and one that is actually showcased in their little like teaser video as well. So the fact that kind of people didn't necessarily pick up on that is quite surprising to me. But again, that is the original origin armor. And the reason why I do find it interesting, and again, this is what a lot of people are kind of taking into meaning, well, they're going to do a Monster Hunter 1 remake, would be that they are showcasing that armor again, but they are actually putting it after the Rise and Sunbreak armor sets, after the Magnamalo and Malzeno armor sets, so suggesting that they would go back to some sort of original remake of the game. I think the reason why you probably should dismiss that outright, that they would do a remake of the first game, is literally based on their very own description. The original game had 5 weapons. 5. Do you want to make that quick connection with what we're seeing right now with Monster Hunter now, where you're seeing people complain about the fact of lack of their favorite weapons, or fact that there's just like missing monsters, and there's just like not enough content in that game already? Well, can you imagine them launching a fully priced game, a full-on remake, and they only provided with 5 weapons and a handful of monsters which we have already fought in previous games multiple and multitudes of time? How do you think people are going to take into that? They wouldn't really be all that happy about it. They would be clamoring for new maps, new monsters, new weapons, new additions, actual new content. When it comes to Monster Hunter, I think remakes don't necessarily work. And that is just, I don't know if that's a hot take or not. I hope it isn't, but I think it's just the reality of like, this is a continually growing franchise. Going back to play the original, I think it would feel kind of like a complete, it would feel hollow. Like it wouldn't necessarily hold up, which is why a lot of people who have played Rise, who have played Sunbreak, who have played World, have played Iceborne, don't want to go back to even 4 Ultimate or Generations or something along those lines, because those games feel old by current gen standards, by current comparisons. I know that a lot of people love those games. I did when I played them as well, but even I myself don't necessarily want to go play those old games. And playing a remake of the first game with those current standards from those times, I don't think that would necessarily hold up very well. It would be nice, it would be niche, don't get me wrong, but I just don't see that actually happening, and I don't necessarily think it would hold up very well. But at the same time, even the logo itself has become a little bit of something of a talking point, since, as you should be able to see on the screen right now, a lot of people are taking the fact that the 20th anniversary logo has all the 14 weapons kind of like circling around it, and only the greatsword is the one that is highlighted. Every other weapon is kind of like shadowed for whatever reason. So a lot of people are kind of wondering if this actually means that every weapon being kind of like overlaid or colored in, if you will, if you want to look at it that way, that would actually translate into more updates being brought up on the website. And I would actually agree with that. I don't think that's necessarily far-fetched by any means. If they color in every weapon with whatever major updates that they might have throughout next year, that wouldn't come to too much of a surprise. Again, though, more importantly, I think more people are looking into whatever the next mainline game is going to be, and hopefully we do get to see some information there. At the same time, I did kind of want to overlay some of the images that I did get to see on the subreddit. I don't necessarily know who posted this, but every single one of the armor sets that are showcased in the actual trailer, of course, they are directly tied to one of the monsters, and they are directly tied to one of the previous mainline releases. So I did get a pretty good kick out of like the fact that people didn't necessarily know what the origin armor was, but every single one of the monsters that is specifically tied to those armor sets should be overlaid there. Again, I'm sorry that I don't necessarily know who made this screenshot, but I did kind of want to overlay it so people can kind of see the full grasp of like all the monsters that are kind of being showcased there. And once again, those are the box art monsters that are being showcased there. Now, as far as the discussion of like, well, putting all this information aside that they put up on the website, speculation aside, from like logos or stuff like that, when can we actually see a full reveal of the game? And this is something that I spoke about in my very quick reactions video to the Tokyo Game Show presentation. And my answer to that is as soon as possible. Because if, again, based on Capcom's very own fiscal report, if they are expecting a mainline new unrevealed game, this is the key wording here in their fiscal report. If they're expecting a currently unrevealed game, which, by the way, Dragon's Dogma doesn't qualify because we already know that game is coming. If a currently unrevealed game is supposed to be their biggest seller before March of 2024, and we expect that, of course, to be Monster Hunter based on their expectations of sales north of 10 to 15 million, then that game needs to be revealed as soon as possible. Monster Hunter has, and the developers know this very well, they like to tease things far ahead of time. I spoke about this in the other video. I believe Rise was revealed 9 months before it was released. Sunbreak was revealed 10 months before it released. So this is just one of those things, like they love to tease things far ahead of time. And if they were to reveal it at, which I've seen some speculation, at the Game Awards, or even some sort of PlayStation State of Play, which I wouldn't necessarily put it past Sony to try to lock that in. I've spoken about the potential of a PlayStation 5 Pro exclusivity type of situation deal, them working into that. But yeah, maybe that could potentially work, but the release date wouldn't line up. If they reveal it in December and then launches in March, Capcom wants more time to be able to talk about their games than just that smaller time window. Maybe they're looking into doing something different. I don't necessarily know. Maybe if there is some sort of remaster of the first game or something, then they would be willing to reveal that into the holidays. And by the end of 2024, they actually reveal next generation. Maybe, I don't know, but you know, I just don't necessarily see them doing that. But again, speculation aside, that is where we are. There are some suggestions as well that throughout this entire 20th anniversary thing, which presumably, you know, will end at, you know, December of next year. By the end of the year, they end up revealing the game, and it ends up becoming a 2025 game, not actually 2024. You know, COVID did kind of delay things for everyone, so that could be a possibility. But I wouldn't necessarily expect Capcom to go an entire year without having a mainline Monster Hunter game being fully serviced. That is not really their MO. As usually, as they finish one up, they're ready to start up on another one, campaign-wise, you know, promotionally wise, not necessarily, you know, release-wise. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what they decide to do with that. But that's kind of like all the information that I wanted to go over regarding the 20th anniversary and their current speculation that are currently going on right now. If you're brand new to my channel, though, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.